Good afternoon and welcome. Actually, I guess it's evening since it's dark out at 5 now. Welcome to another episode of Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and I am, as always, happy to be with you today. Coming to you live from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. That is my guest. Usually I get him ahead of time, but he is just calling in now. Hi, William. I literally just opened the show.
Was I supposed to call you?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I was to call you or you were going to call me, so I said, well, let me call now.
That's okay. You're live on the air. I literally just opened the show. It's all good.
Fantastic. Well, I'll tell you, it's great to share with you, Melanie. I'm looking forward to our conversation, and I'm just excited about this bike trek throughout America.
Exactly. I can't wait to tell everybody. Now, I literally just started the show, so I didn't get a chance to even tell them who my guest was. Yeah,
okay.
But I did promo it earlier. So for those of you who are just joining me, that is the one and only William Owens, who is joining me as my guest today. And if you saw the promo earlier, you saw that he is an author and a poet. And you might be asking yourself, why in the world is Melanie having an author and poet on her show? Well, first of all, number one, anybody who's been listening for a while knows that I'm big on philanthropy, and of course, I'm big on Christianity, meaning I am a Christian, and it's not something that I hide. And William, do you prefer to be called William?
Well, what would you like to call me today, Melanie?
Will. I call a lot of my students who are named William, I call Will. Is that cool?
Okay, you shall call me Will. That's great.
Okay, cool. Usually we take care of this stuff a little bit before the show, but it's all good. So Will is involved in a very important project. We actually met a few weeks ago at the Value Voters Summit, which was just a fantastic event. And Will is in the chat. For those of you who are listening on Facey, I just saw that Will just joined the Facebook chat because I am streaming live on Facebook. So anybody have direct questions you want to chat with him, he's there.
Absolutely.
But he's working on a fantastic project, and I always, every now and then, like to talk about philanthropy. I think it's very important, and we've been talking about some heavy stuff all week. So tax reform and healthcare, and I figured that we would lighten things up a bit and talk about something positive. So hence the reason I have Mr. Will Owens on today, and I'm excited. I want to give a few shout outs in the Facey chat. Deontay Johnson, Thomas, Greg, Ron, the one and only Ron Edwards, how are you? And of course, Will Owens is here. So I just want to tell my audience a little bit more about you, Will. He's currently launching, and this is what we're going to talk about mainly, a national bike trek called Shift to Greatness, a biblical transition from the pain of the past to the promise of greatness for all Americans. Starting the fall of 2017, he will ride his bike approximately 50 to 100 miles in various cities throughout America to a predetermined meeting location in which he will speak on the need to shift from the old narrative of group politics to individual greatness, which our society is enriched. The purpose of the bike trek is to create a call to action of shifting gears toward greatness. It's a call to action event that demonstrates what happens when people choose to go forward, regardless of countless reasons to remain stagnant and divisive. So without further ado, Mr. William Owens.
Thank you. I tell you, I am actually 9 days within my bike trek, and I have been averaging about 40 miles per day. Yesterday I did 50 miles. So I'm going to have to correct this 50 to 100 miles today. The 100 miles per day is not going to happen.
Oh, wow.
That's just not going to happen. I max out at about 50 miles a day. And I tell you, Melanie, the people that I have met, the experiences that I've had, the awareness about who I am, what I believe, has had an opportunity to really slow down and contemplate, improve. And when you can only move 13 miles per hour on average, when you stop and you connect with people, I tell you what, the narratives that we have allowed our minds and our hearts to become accustomed to every day, day in and day out, we'll be surprised, we'll be truly shocked at how skewed those narratives are. We have to shift, and shift is an acronym. Shift to greatness. The only way we can shift is to have a servant's heart, number one, S, and then we have to have humility, H. And then we need to really be in touch with our individual person. Who did God make us to be? And that's I. And then we have to really recognize it takes faith to shift, and that's your F. And then we have to be true pursuers of the truth, and that's T, the truth. So that's what this voyage is all about. And I'm just starting, excuse me, I will conclude in Washington, D.C. in February.
Nice. Nice. That is awesome. As I said, we met at the Value Voter Summit, just sitting around. What the best thing about the Value Voter Summit, and if you don't know what it is, do Google it. It's worth it if you can make it next year. They have it every year. But it's the people that you meet. I mean, the program is fantastic, and they always have wonderful things there. But the people that you get to meet, like you and I met. So just very, very, very excited about that. Now, tell me, what is it that made you, what was the impetus for starting this bike track? What made you want to do this?
I always strive to stay in shape, and I wanted to do something different about a year and a half ago. I didn't just want to go to a gym and jump around and watch everybody flex their muscles and all this. I wanted something that I could find pleasurable and at the same time different. So I decided to take up cycling. And it was during an interesting time in my life. I began to write poetry about 3 years ago. Never expected that. I went through a traumatic experience in my life. And out of that, I started writing poetry. God began to speak up to my heart through poetry. One day I'm riding my bike, and my dad and I had this conversation about where the country is going and how things have really taken on a negative narrative. And I was just saying people really need to shift. They need to shift out of this prison of the negativity that so has taken part of our discussion. Everything we do tends to be a reaction from what somebody else did. And we get caught in the spin. So I'm riding my bike, and I just had an epiphany. As I was changing gears, I was shifting gears to go up this hill. And it just came to me, shift to greatness. I already had the theme of shift to greatness. But when I changed gears, it just really kicked in. And I just believe God is a God of wonder. He's a God of adventure. And it's just like I had this epiphany, ride my bike throughout the country. It was actually a concept I had several years ago, but it didn't come together back then. But this time it was just so clear to me to shift to greatness. And I just knew it was time. And so here I am. I'm packed up with a bike that's designed to take you throughout the country. I got 4 bags, 2 on each side, 1 on each side rather. And I'm pumping about 80 pounds of content with me from my tent, my clothes, my computer, and I pretty much camp out 80% of the time, and it's just been tremendous. So that was the impetus behind me getting on my bike, going throughout the country and speaking. I've already spoken to several Boy Scout group. I spoke at a church the other night, and these opportunities were not planned. They just came together. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I'm enjoying every moment of the experience.
Excellent. Excellent. Now we're up against a break. I can't believe that happened so fast, but we are. And when we come back, I want you to talk to the audience a little bit about what role the tragic events in Las Vegas recently had in your tour and what you're doing about it. Would you mind talking about that when we come back?
Not at all. Look forward to it.
Okay, great. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. We'll be back in a few moments.
If you are a Trump-hating rhino Republican who looks the other way when Democrats literally get out to destroy the Republic, prepare to be out of office. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, President Trump clearly stated that the corporate tax rate must be lowered now to make America once again competitive on the world's economic stage. The president even caved in to the globalists and settled at a 20% rate. But now, Republicans are seriously considering a one-year delay before cutting the corporate rate. The Republicans are also trying to gum up the works by not issuing across-the-board tax reductions, despite knowing that such measures could cause a repeat of 1981, when selfish politicians delayed tax reductions for a year and caused a recession. President Reagan agonized over the decision to give in to the statist politicians who persuaded him not to oppose their delay of granting tax relief for the people of America. I pray that Republicans will awaken from their stupor of pretending not to understand that tax cuts bring in more revenue and the wasteful spending must be curtailed. For you Trump haters, he is doing his job, and it is past time you do yours, or prepare to be booted out of office. I'm Ron Edwards. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how legally hiring your spouse and children can slash your taxes. Learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the benefits of setting up an exit plan, how to avoid getting audited, and how to legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Visit TaxMama.com. Click on Ask a Tax Question to get free answers to your tax and business questions. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with one M.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Okay, we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette, and I have with me today Will Owens, poet and author. And before we broke, I asked you about the role that Las Vegas, the events in Las Vegas recently, the very tragic events, had in your decision and what role it's playing in your tour now, what you're doing with that.
You know, I was in Vegas when it happened. Actually, I just flew back in from Colorado Springs late Saturday night. So when I got up on Sunday and I heard the news, it really tore at my heart. I had been in planning for the launch, and so when this took place, I was moved to write a poem called Vegas Strong several days later. And you can read that poem on my website at shiftstogreatness.org. I have several poems there on the site. And so as we were planning and moving toward the launch of the Shift to Greatness, Vegas came together and actually built a community prayer garden that was built in commemoration of the 48 people who lost their lives. And actually it's called the Community Healing Garden. The Community Healing Garden. And so we actually did a ceremony and launching the bike trek from there to reflect on the fact that we can't allow tragedy. We cannot allow those who oppose life, those who oppose hope, to discourage us from fulfilling God's purpose in our lives. So we had the people there that were responsible for conceptualizing the garden and actually building it, along with the community who came together. And so that was the role that Shift to Greatness played in that moment. It was well received, and people's hearts were touched. And so at the end of the ceremony, I actually launched my bike trek and headed towards Searchlight, Nevada. And that was an interesting experience. I got 7 miles lost Getting lost in the car for 7 miles, no big thing. You whip out, turn around, and go back.
Right.
Not on the bike. But that was that was my first night camping on the trip. Google Maps was giving 4.1 stars for this one particular site that was excellent for camping. Melanie, I pulled up. It was pitch black dark. Nobody was there. It was just me. I had to put my tent together with my flashlight. And this was my first, this tent was the first time I was putting it together that night. I did a great job, and I climbed in my tent, and I rested well. Yes, it was very cold, but the experience was great.
See, now when you said camping, I pretty much assumed you meant like the Four Seasons or something. But you meant, I'm kidding, but you meant actual camping.
Yes. Part of biking, when you bike, come on, you just can't stay at hotels every night. It's just really expensive. However, the biking community is huge. You have a community of bikers who, when they're not biking, they make their homes available for bikers. It's an organization called warmshowers.org. And so when they're not biking, they say, hey, if you need to crash at my place for a night or two, let me know you're coming by. And so that works out well. But when I left Las Vegas, coming down the 95 all the way to the 10, getting closer to Phoenix, there was really nothing in between that area. So you travel with the tent, and your sleeping bag. And you pop your tent up, climb in your sleeping bag, and you rest. I heard a few coyotes, but I wasn't scared.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now that would scare me. If I was in my house and heard coyotes, I'd be scared. So, I'd be worried. I'd be concerned for sure. Now, so where are you now, and where are you going next?
Right now, I'm in Blythe, California. I'm staying at there is a Warm Showers contact here who has 2 acres of land, and I'm camped out by a lake. They have some ducks there. I could go fishing. They have a bait shop, and just all around Americans, hang out there. So that's where I'll be until tomorrow. And I'll ride about maybe 30 miles tomorrow to my next stop, which will be another campsite. And then I will stop at near Sun City, where a couple is hosting me to stay in their home. Now, they have a jacuzzi. I get my own bed. I got a shower. I can wash clothes. And they actually feed me. In the midst of all of this, though, Melanie, people are hosting me to speak, to share. I'm doing my poetry. I just want to do a shout-out to those in Phoenix. If you know someone in Phoenix, if you're in Phoenix, and you'd like to set up a meet and greet, I would love to swing by along my path and do just that. Some people are letting me share about Shift. I spoke to a group of Boy Scouts who was at one of the campsites. We had a great conversation. I spoke for about a whole hour. They were asking me questions. I did one of my poems called Dangerous Wonder. And so people were just really being blessed. And I think what's happening is that so often we pick and choose the friends we think fit our dynamic. And as a result, we really minimize our own experiences by prejudging people. That's what prejudice is. We prejudge before having a conversation. And furthermore, racism is a symptom. It's not a cause. It's a symptom of something far deeper. And what I find that's the root of all these things is really self-righteousness. And the self-righteousness is based upon fear. It's based upon this narrative of what we've been told by our parents, by perhaps our upbringing, our community, and now even our politics have informed us who to be friends with and who not to be friends with. And the most unlikely people have supported me on this tour, Melanie. We have Facebook friends, we count, I got 3,000 Facebook friends. Wait a minute, we need to be careful. There's 2 definitions of friends these days.
Right.
Social media friends who really could care less, and then you have friends. And we've allowed social media friends to somehow come into our narrative and thinking they're really friends. Well, the most unlikely people have supported me on this tour. They paid for my dinner, they bought my books, they shook my hand, they've hung out with me, As far as my social media friends, they're watching, they're looking. But the ones who supported me are the ones I least expected. And so it's really caused me not just so much to look at my friends, but it's caused me to look at myself and say, wow, who do I really think my friends are? And a lot of times our friends are a reflection of our own selves. And when we cease from thinking we know the way we think we know, we'll come to realize that Americans and people in general are more than we think they are. They can't be construed to a political party or to an opinion or to a religion. We really have to allow our hearts to be changed and enlarged. And that's what Shift to Greatness by Trek is doing for me personally, and how I believe it's blessing other people as well.
And so you really just kind of crept into my next question, which was I was going to ask you about, Band-Aids versus solutions and these problems. And the theme of the show is philanthropy, and not only financial philanthropy, but your time. I mean, I'm sure you're not getting paid to do this. You're not, but you're spreading an important message, which to me is a philanthropic activity. I teach financial literacy to high schoolers, and one of the things that I added to the curriculum, don't tell anybody, was on philanthropy, because there really wasn't anything. And I just think it's so important. And sometimes it's not always money. Sometimes it's your time.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you made that distinction, because sometimes it's easy for us to just support this and support that with $20 or $100 or $1,000. But when you give your time, you have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional. You have to be engaged. And that's more valuable. It has more meaning when you sit down and talk with a total stranger, when you have a sincere conversation. Sincere doesn't mean it's easy. It simply means it's relevant. You make it relevant. This morning, when I woke up and climbed out of my tent, about 6:20, and I start my day. It's a cool morning. I see one of the gentlemen walking across, and you can see the pain. You can see the trauma that he's been through in his life. And we got to talking, and he starts his day off with a Coke and whiskey. Oh. That's how he starts his day off, And the other person who lives on that, she starts her day off with orange juice and gin. Okay, and it's not even 8 o'clock, and we're having a conversation. We're talking about life, and I'm praying with Kenneth. And you see the tears, you see the pain of what people have been through. And I sit down with intent to really listen. And these people don't care about who's president. They don't have political smarts. Just the other day, I'm talking with a gentleman who is giving me directions out of his truck, Jim. He's retired. He served our country. Last night I climb in the truck and go pick up some spaghetti dinners for the gentleman who served our country. He buys my spaghetti dinner along with 7 other people. Paid $70 just for other people to have spaghetti dinners. And these are relationships. These are people. And to when you talk about giving time and connecting with people, people don't care what you know unless they know how much you care. And that's a great part that I believe is missing in our discourse. We go to some of these events, whether it's the Value Voter Summit or CPAC, all these events, but what do you really bring to these events? Why are you going to these events?
Right.
Why are you going? If you've not given, if you've not expanded your experience with people who can't give back or people who don't think like you, it's hard for you to really have any depth of value and understanding about what really matters.
Exactly.
And until you give your time and connect with people, you'll never really have that authenticity. You just won't have it. It won't resonate. And that's what the Shift to Greatness experience has been for me. You start off on something like this, you think you know what it's going to look like. Nothing can prepare you for it, but you move in faith, and God takes you on a journey, and He shows you people, and He shows you your heart. And I'll never be the same, and I've only just begun.
That's fantastic. Let me ask you, what can you identify thus far what your best experience has been? What your most memorable, best experience has been?
Yes, I can. My most memorable experience happened the day before yesterday. I was coming from Parker, Arizona, and I was getting ready to set up my tent. The ground was kind of hard, so I was going to take my shovel. I got a little portable shovel and kind of soften up the ground. But I have an air mattress that you can roll up and pretty much stick in your purse. But you blow it up and you put your sleeping bag on top of that, so it creates like a little layer between the ground and your sleeping bag. The guy spoke to my heart. He said, "Go into the city," which was like a mile and a half in. And so I said, "Okay, I'll go." So I went into the city. I pulled up Google Maps. I found the church. It was a Tuesday night. I felt to look for a church. I found the church. I went to the church. The neighbor told me they had prayer at 6 o'clock, so I waited around. It was 5:22. Some people showed up. The pastor finally showed up. We briefly shook hands. He said, "Let's share after service." So after prayer, it was a prayer night. After prayer, he had me introduce myself, and then he said, "Why don't you share a word with us?" And I ended up sharing a word to that church that night. And it was out of John 16, verse 13, I believe, that he would send the spirit of truth. And after sharing, would you believe they took a small offering for me, and they paid for my dinner, and they acquired me a room that night, so I didn't have to sleep in the tent.
Wow.
They gave me a room. They purchased several of my books. And then I checked in my room. The restaurant is right in, practically, I could throw a rock at the restaurant.
Right.
But I decided I wanted pizza. So I got on my bike. I rode a half a mile to the pizza shop. I ordered me some wings and a small little pizza. The young man who was serving me, we got to talking and sharing. I said, "What church do you go to?" "Well, Melanie, he went to Lily of the Valley Church, the very church I just got through speaking at."
Oh, wow. So he got a witness too, I'm sure.
And his daddy is the pastor.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Now that's an awesome experience. That's an awesome experience.
It is an awesome experience. It's an awesome experience. And then the Boy Scouts, I think that will be my second one. I'm camping out. I think I posted the picture on your Facebook feed. I'm camping out, and I'm camping right next to a professional photographer. And lo and behold, they wanted to take a picture of me. So they took a picture of me with their professional gear, and I never expected that. They really did a great job. So, you know, like I said, I'm 9 days into this bike trek, and the experiences keep unfolding, and it's showing me some parts about my heart and my life. And until we step out of our ordinary day-to-day life and find some adventure, we are robbing ourselves from God, giving us more than we can imagine, just through connecting with people. And that's the best gift you can give is your time and your life experiences.
Indeed. Indeed it is. Now, Will mentioned his book, and if you're watching on Facey, I'm holding the book up. This is show prep. I'm always talking about show prep, how much I show prep. I actually pulled your book out last night and put it on my desk to make sure that I had it available to show everybody, called Poems of America. So it's on Amazon, yes?
I'm sorry?
How can you get the book? We're not ending yet, but I just want to show it since you brought it up.
Yeah, they can order, no problem. They can order the book right on my website. In fact, I'll throw a link in here for everyone to be able to follow, and they can order the book right there on my website. Paste this link right there.
And it's called Poems of America, but the subtitle is called A Resurgence of a Fearless Return to God and Faith. So you guys can see why I would be into that.
Yeah, it's in fact the poem "Shift to Greatness" is actually included in that book. Of course, I wrote the poem after the book came out, but we decided to revisit the book and put that poem in it. And the poem is really blessing people. It's really capturing the essence of what's needed in order for us to shift from the drudgery of what's happening in our country. You know, it's the mayhem, and we should not think or even expect things to quote unquote get better on the public realm of things. Things get better within us. They get better within us. And if we stop growing, then it doesn't matter what's going on in America. When we stop recognizing who we are, and if you stop growing as a person, you fail to be of any value to the country you're in, wherever you are. What makes America the country it is, it's not just America, it's Americans. It's the fact that we pursue greatness, and therefore we make America great. And I fear we've stopped growing on the broader scale of things. We've allowed the political community and the ideologies of the day to cause us to isolate ourselves from people because we identify with the group and we think that group is safe. And before you know it, we come to recognize that the group we with, they are just as imperfect as anybody else.
No, that can't be. All Trump supporters are perfect. What are you talking about? No, I'm kidding. I said all Trump supporters are perfect. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, far from it. That is for sure. Just a totally imperfect world. Before we go to our last break, and before I let you go, would you like to perform one of your poems for the audience?
I would love to. I would love to read "The Shift to Greatness." It's. I can read it in about 4 minutes. Is that too long?
Nope.
Does that work?
Nope. You're good. I'll be a minute over, but
okay,
it's my
good.
show. I can do that. You're cool.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good. This is called "Shift to Greatness." The rift has ripped the core of our souls and has blinded us to the golden side of us, refusing joy, the right to flow to and fro, like a cold and cruel wind across our face, blinding us to the beauty of every race, dividing our nation as the land of the free and the home of the brave. We must shift from this madness that has our hearts twisted because of a narrative that once existed, a history whose purpose reaches beyond what we can grasp. We must cease from our own understanding. Allow revelation of perfect symmetry and harmony. Capture your imagination that will open your eyes to see a transition into God's to greatness is as natural as a smile of a child with no guile, and holding a lover's hand strolling through the park. The transition of the sun so bright to the glowing of the moon within the growing dark night. The shift is to resist and pull back to the insane dream with drastic images of an evil past we make fresh again and again. Who wants bread from a microwave from last week? No matter how high the rise of the steam or how neat the butter looks in his cup, when the fresh bread is stale, enough is enough. How long can we dwell on the evil of the past? Remaining blind, we deny ourselves to be free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty we're free at last. The dream that Dr. King died for. My grandmother's grandfathers of decades gone by would see our day and ask us why. Haven't you done better? If I had all this opportunity, every day would be perfect weather. Why are you so easily played by what people say? Or when they block you? Child, you better straighten your back, smile, and just push on through to what God is calling you to. Shifting with an intention to a purpose of greatness defines who you are. It's the ultimate high of life, the journey to the destination, the who of what God made you to be without apology. The shift is a radical transition, a denial of anyone or anything, robbing you of your unique contribution to the tapestry of your community, and even to the grandeur of your very existence throughout the timeless reign of eternity. Let that sink deep into your spirit until at last you hear an intimate God-breathed epiphany. Transition is to smile at everyone regardless of who did what in times past. It's letting bygones be bygones because God still has a song for each of us. Born out of your journey to the shores of paradise with Christ. It is embracing the redemptive power of forgiveness, loving your enemy regardless of their position. You see them through the same lens you see yourself as great, regardless of their permission. Transition requires looking deeper past the obvious, expanding your heart and your love for all people, thinking that lifts you to a new bold expression of faith, tapping into that love that flows from the depth of your DNA. Evidence that you were created with purpose beyond that of yourself. Purpose speaks to purpose. Greatness speaks to greatness. We are connected to this objective by the God of the universe that celebrates all that's beautiful in us and through us to others. Shift to greatness. It's time to move beyond the mind and mind our eyes from seeing inside the heart and mind of people who, like me, believe the curse of red that keeps us alive, not dead. Shift to greatness. Press beyond the cynical sense of soul who keeps the holy prisoner in a sick matrix of poison narratives that paralyze and ostracize you from the perfect will of God. We shall accept, love by the word of hate. That the parents going nowhere, creating despair from hopelessness, making themselves irrelevant to anything beautiful. By the purpose, or they create love, and whatever love you perfectly. Decide whether you will not die, remain where you are, or rise to resist. The fight of who God has made you to be, a transition to radically change your position. With heart, mind, and soul, fearless, today is the day for you, for America, for our communities, and every nationality to shift to greatness.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, before we go to break, fantastic. By the way, on the Facebook stream, I know you were reading, so you may or may not have seen all the hearts that came through while you were reading. So I think the audience likes it as well. If someone wanted to donate to your cause or any organization that is supporting you, how would they go about doing that?
If they hit the front page of Shift to Greatness, they will see a link on how they can go to our crowdfund page and support me. Would really be appreciated. Those who give a gift of at least $25, I have a special going on. Not only will you get a copy of the book, but up until Thanksgiving, Melanie, I'm giving the extra book away, Poems for America. So for a contribution of $25 or more, you'll get a copy of the book, but you also get an extra book to give to a friend or to a family member or as a Christmas gift. So that opportunity goes on until Thanksgiving.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Just fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad I got the opportunity to get you on, especially so you can talk about this important event. It's just, all of it is just really important. Donating money is fantastic, but donating your time is important. But I also wanted the audience, if they wanted an opportunity to support you, for them to be able to do that. And I'm so glad that you were able to come on the show today.
Well,
Thanks
thank
again.
you for having me once again, Melanie. I appreciate it. Let's keep in touch. I'll keep you posted about what I'm doing, where I'm at. And thank you so much once again.
Please do. Please do. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette. That was the one and only Will Owens, poet and author. And he's on a Shift to Greatness tour. If you're just joining us and you missed what the Shift to Greatness tour is all about, go back and listen to the podcast when I post it in a few minutes. It will be up after the broadcast. We're going to go to a break right now. When we come back, the Money Talk News Report. Be back in a few minutes. Welcome to this week's Money Talk Minute with your business diva, Melanie Collette. This week, we're going to discuss interest rates. Why are they important? Well, they're important on two sides of your financial coin. On the one side, you have your debt, credit card debt, loans, and things like that. You always want to get the lowest interest rate possible. Why? That means that money is costing you a lot less to borrow with a lower interest rate. And speaking of that, when you're looking at which loan or which credit card to pay off first, you're always going to look at the interest rate. Which one has the highest interest rate? That's the one you want to start paying off first. On the savings side of the financial coin, what kind of savings account do you want to open? Which one should you choose? You will always choose the one with the best interest rate. And on the savings side, the best interest rate will be the highest interest rate. This means it will yield you the highest amount of return. And that's it for your Money Talk Minute of the Week. I am your business diva, Melanie Collette.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and obstacles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead John and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for certain other guys that have work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. The best late-night conservative talk show in America.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. And now, if you guys just joined me, I want to give a couple of shout outs to Greg Wilson. Hi. Thank you for hanging out. I saw my publicist Eden Gordon sneaking in here, sneaking into the chat. Hello. Keith Little, how are you? I hope you're having a great evening. The one and only Deontay Johnson, who sees fit to make fun of me, is in there, the president of the Black Conservative Federation. And the one and only Dave Milner just joined the chat. So happy to see you, the unpleasant blind guy who actually isn't really unpleasant at all. Thank you so much for joining me. If you guys missed the beginning of the show, I had author and poet Will Owens on, and we talked to him about the importance of philanthropy and his Shift to Greatness tour. So if you missed that, be sure to check out the podcast when I post it later. Some really good and important stuff. And he also performs one of his poems, Shift to Greatness. And I hope you will enjoy that. Without further ado, it's time for the Money Talk News Report. I changed the format. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I changed the format around a little bit. I usually do the news in the beginning, but my guest schedule here lately have been conducive to me doing it at the end of the show. I don't know. Let me know if you like that better. Maybe I'll keep it that way. I've been doing it that way for the last couple of days. Anywho, I mentioned this yesterday because it had just happened. I don't even know. I probably missed how the vote went. I think on the healthcare. Let me backtrack. How the vote went on the tax reform bill. There we go. I believe it passed the House, but Senator Johnson has already said he is a no. Senator Collins, not shockingly, is saying she's not sure how she's going to vote on it. So we only have one more vote that we can really lose. We have a 52-48 majority in the Senate, and we're already down one. And we already know that John McCain is always dicey. So who knows what's going to happen with that vote. And if something has already happened while I was doing my show prep and and doing the show, you guys let me know in the chat. But they're supposed to be passing their own version. There's so many versions of this bill. It's just ridiculous. The Senate is supposed to be voting on the bill like a week after Thanksgiving, and House Republicans are supposed to be passing the bill today. So we'll see how that shakes out. I'm still really nervous about the whole situation, to be quite honest with you. This was a unique story, but I was happy to see it. A Da Vinci painting was just sold for a record $450 million, which is 3 times what the expected sale price was. Here's the awesome part about that painting that was sold. The awesome part to me is not necessarily what the price was, but what it is of. It is 500 years old, and it's a portrait of Jesus. And it's now the most important piece of art that has ever been sold. So now, the Almighty, for those of you keeping track at home, is responsible for the most popular book on the face of the earth, which is the Holy Bible, and now a portrait that is the most expensive that's ever been purchased. Just FYI. So I thought that was just an interesting point. I thought that was really exciting news. My God, can you imagine having $450 million to spend? Apparently, this person is a really big Da Vinci fan. The last record sale was a Pablo Picasso painting that sold for $179.4 million. Incredible, just crazy, if you ask me. But it happened, and Jesus is what it's a portrait of. So excellent. In other news, only half of us got raises last year. This is according to the survey done by Bankrate, which is like an employment reporting company. Only half of us got raises. Now, if you work in the public sector, which I do, as a teacher, you know, you expect raises every year. Now, I don't, because I'm a conservative and like I know math. But teachers, by and large, and many people who work in the public sector just expect periodic raises. In fact, you will hear liberals constantly argue. I had this argument with some liberals in my local politics not too long ago, that you just always have to increase the budget. And I'm like, well, what about cutting? Like, what about making sure we're not wasting money? Like, since, you know, since it is other people's money. But apparently half of us are not even getting raises. Now, here's another thing that's very interesting about that stat, is that people with higher education levels and salaries are more likely to see an increase. 64% of workers over age 53 didn't receive an increase at all, compared to 47% of younger workers. There's a lot to be said about all of that. Now, when I first saw that stat about people with higher educations are in salaries are more likely to see an increase, my very first thought was the whole, you know, the rich are getting richer, you know, situation, what people say all the time. But a lot of that has to do with the type of job that you're going to acquire with a certain education, and once you get in that salary range, there are expectations. I don't know that it's about the rich getting richer as much as it's about having more responsibility once you get to a certain level. I don't. I'm sure that'll be hotly debated till Jesus returns. but you know, statistically, and there are always outliers. I'm not saying that you have to have a college education to be successful. You certainly don't. Bill Gates, have you ever heard of him? So, and lots of people have dropped out of college. He dropped out of Harvard. I mean, he didn't drop out of community college, but saying obviously already a really smart guy. But people who have more education and already have high salaries tend to make more money. Go figure. Anywho, you're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. That is your Money Talk News Report. We'll be back in a couple of moments.
Taxes. Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with one M.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
And I want to thank the one and only author and poet, Will Owens, for being on the show today and for sharing his poetry and his message with us. I want to thank my sponsors, Eva Rosenberg, the one and only Tax Mama. If you have not checked out her website, go there. She answers your tax questions for free, and she sells her award-winning books there. And if you've ever thought about purchasing a franchise, believe it or not, it's easier than you think. And David Barnett at businessbuyeradvantage.com can help you do that. So head over to his website. He's got hundreds of fantastic free videos, instructional videos to help you out. And he has a couple of books there as well. Really smart guy that you'll definitely want to listen to if you're ever thinking about investing in a franchise or even buying a franchise. I want to thank everyone in the Facey chat for listening, everybody out there in SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio Land. Remember, all of this is very important because, after all, it is your money.